Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid South Wrestling Review Series. Also, join us on Golden Opportunities Coaching if you're looking for life, business, relationship coaching. That is our main channel. But if you are a wrestling or MMA fan, this is the place for you to be. We have over 1,000 audios now, both on modern and traditional 80s wrestling. I wish there was 70s stuff and other stuff, full shows to cover, but that is not as present as I'd like. Kamala against the Masked Marvel starts us off here. Um, you know, Kamala has been pretty unstoppable, even coming in with a spear at this time. Uh, he is here with Skandor Akbar and his handler Friday. And Kamala, punch, kick, chop, chop, really basic stuff. Um, Obviously, this Masked Marvel not going to be a major challenge for Kamala. One can imagine bear hugs and trying to just overpower the man is the goal of Kamala here. Irish whip, double chops to the throat. Kamala off with the splash and gets the victory. Thor against a returning Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We haven't seen Jim Duggan in a couple of weeks, actually several weeks here, but he's returning, and that probably makes most fans of the Mid South area happy, as Duggan has been a mainstay of the promotion for the last several years. Thor joined by Skandor Akbar for the sake of money and basically putting what amounts really to a bounty on the head of Duggan. Thor manages to get a back elbow and some slams on Duggan. Thor looks like $1,000,000. He obviously goes on to be Nails in the WWF, but a big clothesline by Duggan, and Duggan manages to go roundabout with some back elbows by Duggan. Duggan with a double sledge to the spinal column of his adversary. Akbar on the outside, not happy to see that Duggan beals his man out of the corner and goes after Akbar a little bit. That continues, but Duggan is victorious in the end. The Barbarian again with Skandor Akbar, this time facing Stony Montana, and Stony is not impressed with what he has to face, one would imagine. And some shots, Barbarian manages to throw his man around, get advantages where he can. Single arm shrug offs, among other things. Barbarian with some rather large body slams here, and really the Barbarian, other than maybe that one match with Iceman King Parsons, has not had any major challenges on television as of yet. Barbarian picks his man up, big body slam, and ultimately a kick that misses by about 20 feet by the Barbarian. Barbarian goes to the second rope on the inside and he hits the leaping shoulder tackle and then drops an elbow and then brings the man back up for a full Nelson. Then we see the return of the Dirty White Boys. Not a good or bad thing, I guess, as they did not pan out as well. One would imagine. Dirty White Boys here facing Montana and Brown. So again, they've kind of dropped in importance, which seems to happen around the area, to be completely honest. Bill Watts will heat somebody up for a couple of months. If it doesn't work out, he pulls the rug out from under him, kind of. And I guess that's the way you got to be if you're really trying to get over and make money on a weekly basis. Wrestling today isn't even that. It's TV rights fees and a bunch of junk that, for the most part, I mean, nobody really gets very far as getting over. Hasn't in, 21, 22 years now, really. And the last time people were over was probably 1998, 99. In terms of being over in a way that would draw money, you can say a guy like Daniel Bryan or an early Roman Reigns or The Shield, but at that point they were already in a television contract status where it didn't really matter what you did. So drawing to get over, a less thing. Anyway, Brickhouse Brown through the arms of both men and then hits a crossbody. Brown clearing house pretty efficiently here. Goes over. Montana comes in. Gets caught with several shots. The Dirty White Boys are easily closing their man down. Big elbow drop by one of the White Boys, and again, match is breaking down where the White Boys are in control. Double back elbow, super simple, super easy, and ultimately we kind of get the kicks in the behind the referee's back. White Boys are pretty dominant here. They are not willing to take any backward steps. Big body slam by Brickhouse Brown when he comes back in. Brown probably certainly the more known and probably better overall talent of his team. Shoulder tackle on one of the White Boys, 1, 2, and 3, and the White Boys actually do the honors for Brickhouse Brown and friends. Steve Casey and Jake Roberts. Roberts, again, a guy who kind of has fallen off to be working with Steve Casey, unless the goal there is finding out what Casey has in him. I don't understand dropping Roberts to a point of this type of match after being in there with Kerry Von Erich and Terry Taylor and the larger guys of the area and era at the time. I just don't get it. Anyway, go behinds and an attempt to full Nelson, among other things, by Steve Casey. Casey does nip back up to his feet, pulls his arm away from Jake Roberts, and is solidly in control there. Some reasonably hard shots and back elbows. Roberts manages to get a hip toss attempt, but Casey cartwheels out of it. Kicks by Roberts, drop kicks by Casey. This is going a bit more in his direction than one would expect. Roberts on the outside of the ring, not happy with what has occurred, rolls back in, flustered and frustrated, trying to do so slowly so as to A, sell, but B, kind of regain his composure. And so that is there. I think there's a lost art to selling when you've been kind of, for lack of a better term, distracted or otherwise negatively affected by things in today's modern society, wrestling wise. Anyway, side headlocks by Casey. Casey hangs on to the headlock. Some would say longer than he should, perhaps. And you know, the moves there getting just as simple, but at the same time just as effective as guys who are doing more high spot related stuff. Roberts, who gets taken down, held in the reverse chinlock position and side headlock position. Match goes on for several minutes with Casey, in fact, being in control. I do get the sense that this now is a match basically to test can Casey be carried to something decent. That question is there, at least for me. Back suplex does not break the hold, though, and Casey again remains in control of the tempo of the match, which is good for him, one would suppose. And then Jake Roberts manages to bury his shoulder into the midsection of his adversary. Roberts, again doing more selling, takes the man down with the front face lock, manages to try and choke him out. In the meantime, Casey comes back up to his feet, and Roberts creates some separation with a short knee lift, goes back to the front face lock. Match actually feels like it's at this point going on a little too long for the discrepancy of talent in the ring. Short knee lift by Roberts, but he misses with it and lands on the back of his head, gets bumped around for a couple of more minutes, and then even some European uppercuts and a drop kick or two by Casey. Casey manages to pick up the pace a little bit. Roberts brings him back in, nails the DDT, 1, 2, 3, and a victory for Jake Roberts. We go into the semi-main event position on the show. I don't know that this match would be the semi-main event. Dirty Dutch Mantel and Tim Horner, certainly in a decent challenge for himself. Horner has been one of the brighter spots in Mid South as far as undercard talent over the last couple of years. Mantell, relatively new here. I think this is his second or third appearance, and he manages to keep things going. Locks on the armbar. Does Mantell? Mantell kind of sits out with it, tries to slow things down as much as he can, hanging on to the armbar as long as he can, getting some extra time out of simplicity of the art of selling. Backbreaker by Mantell, who doesn't want to waste any motion that he doesn't have to. Snapmares him over, rolls through, and then we see some hard shots into the corner by Mantell. Mantell with the Irish whip. And again with the backbreaker, only this time kind of forward falling. Mantell with a big back body drop on Horner. Takes him out of the corner, and no pun intended there. And, kind of gets things going back his way, but gets cut off with a back elbow. Mantell, a master at pacing of matches to get guys over, ducks the crossbody and a front falling suplex by Mantell for the victory. Gilbert and Nightmare versus Daniels and Bryson. Gilbert, again, a guy who is a big deal in Memphis. And, the Nightmare, relatively newcomer to the area. Not a big deal in terms of anything other than being a big guy, as of this moment anyway. Um, you know, Gilbert willing to take any shot he can, beating down his enhancement talent opponent here. Gilbert with the back elbow cuts off an attempted pin attempt, and then we see the Nightmare brought in to do the bidding of Eddie Gilbert. Gilbert tends to have large heaters who give him the ability to get that cut off. Probably something he learned in Memphis anyway. Eddie manages to miss the clothesline through the feet, and then Nightmare does the cutoff again. Nightmare with the pile driver again, and ultimately that will be, I believe, the end of the match. We will be back with the final week in April 1985 right after this.